Hi, folks. This is Red We Met coming to you live. And I don't know if it's working. I have to look at this. It's only the second live one I've ever done. Are you there? Okay. Hey, Dave, how you doing? I had some trouble setting this up. I had to put my glasses on to read it. Well, you're one person that made it. Let's see if we can get some more people before I talk about Mikey. Hi, Mike. How you doing? I'm glad you can see me and hear me. I was having technical difficulties. Matter of fact, I had to put on glasses to read. Hey, Guy, how you doing? Calzone 83. Do we have any more people? Yeah, Mike Alexander, fantastic. Orchard book a couple days. Mike, it went out today. Where are you located, Mike? T Dizzle? Chicago, it went out today, Guy. It should be coming soon. Does it look like we're going to have a big crowd? You're welcome, Guy. You're welcome. I'm going to see if I can. Yeah, I can do this without glasses now. Hey, look at all the fine print to set this up. I'm not used to it. And in the process, I deleted my last live one. Today, I came to talk about Mikey Swiatek. I knew Mike. I knew him very well through his ups and downs. And I even did a bedtime story about him and his necklace that Joey Lombardo borrowed. And he didn't give back the same one, that's for sure. We've only got 4 or 5 people in here. These live things aren't going too well for me. Well, does anybody have any questions? We can start off that way. Ralph? Well, I came here to talk live about Mikey Swiatek and the passing of Mikey Swiatek. And what I knew about him, I knew him quite well. Yeah, I showed it at 6:30, but it was set up for 4:30, and that's why it's this way now. Did I bet on the Kentucky Derby? No. Now, I haven't bet on the Derby or any races in a long time, horse races. I first met Mikey probably around 1974. He was in the neighborhood, and he had this big gold chain around his neck. It was made out of nuggets. I mean, they were nuggets. They weren't a chain. And he had a big Mexican medallion in the center, probably the size of a campaign button. And Joey borrowed it, and he didn't give back the same way, I'll tell you that much. Mike said, Dave, what? Mine said 420. Yeah, that's what I put up on the thing, but, it just, YouTube did it to me. When I saw it was scheduled for 110 minutes, I said, the heck with it, I'm deleting it and going live. In the process, I deleted my last live video. Who was Mikey Swiatek? Mike was part of the Grand and Ogden crew. He was a thief. He stole with Frank Collada. As a matter of fact, he's gone now, so I can say this. He was involved in the bombing, many bombings. One where a guy got killed, and Frank talked about it when he was alive. He called him Bushelhead. And when Frank was alive, and I talked to Adam about it and said, wow, you know, this really putting him underneath the bus because the guy still was alive. But now he's gone, and whatever he's done, he can't be indicted for it or anything else. And there's a lot of things. The actual Jimmy Kozo next to him, I told this in a bedtime story years ago. Jimmy Kozo had a Puerto Rican tavern right next to his property, his 4-flat. And it used to make loud music and annoyed him, and he wanted it gone. And the first time, I didn't know who did it. The first time it got firebombed, it got burned down. Well, the guy had insurance, and he built a better one. I mean, he built a bigger one and a better one. And so then Mike came, and he kicked the gas meter, and the only pilot light he left on was on the 4th floor. And when that thing went up, it imploded. The roof went up about 60 feet, and not one brick landed on the sidewalk. It all went down in the basement, and the debris went down on top of it. He was a demolition expert, definitely a demolition expert. Frank Collada talked about different scores he went on to blow up buildings, one with a minister, a black minister. He wanted his place torched. He was very good at it. He was a demolition expert for sure. He also taught me how to turn your gas meter around. Right after the guy comes to read your meter, you shut the gas off, you turn it around, and you run backwards. And when it's running backwards, then just before the date that they're going to come and read it, because you know every month they come and read it, you turn it around the other direction. You only pay for 15 days. He did a lot of cheating. They all did. He did that to Kozo's place when they put in the swimming pool. Let me see if I can get to some of your questions. Rest in peace, Mike, Grand Avenue. I got so many stories to tell about Mike. I wrote about him in my second book. Did you get up to the Greyhound racetrack? No, I didn't. In Palm Beach County? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I used to get up there quite a bit. Not for the same reasons, but I got up there. I also did the same in Sarasota Downs. I got to put on glasses, guys. I can't read this. In your day, what was the most cash you made in a month? Wow. The most I made in a month back in the day, probably maybe 200 grand a month was the most cash I made in a month. Collada said that Mikey was the best burglar he was. He was really good. He used to get his tools from Joey. He actually stole with Joey Lombardo, too. I guess that shocked everybody, me talking about how much I made in a month. That was back in the day. Things were wild then. I had a lot of things going. Don't forget, I had 5 businesses running at one time. Anyway, Mike Byrne saw Mikey, I don't know how long ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And he saw him go into his brother's hardware store. And then he was lugging around an oxygen tank. He had emphysema, very bad. And We knew it wouldn't be long, but we didn't know when. But he's gone. And I liked him. He was a nice guy. He really was. I never saw, I mean, because he killed, somebody, Cagnoni or whatever, in that car out by 294. I never saw it happen. I didn't know about it at the time. But anytime I saw him, it was on a social basis. He was a great guy. Unfortunately, Mike got involved with an undercover ATF agent, Mazzola, and Jimmy DeLoro. And they came to me in about 1985 when he was arrested. And they asked a lot of questions about him. I didn't have much for him, though. I just knew he was part of the crew. I wasn't on the inside with him. He was very close to Phil Amato, very close to Joey Lombardo. He was close to all of them. I mean, everybody got along well with Mike. Mike was a very different person. He wasn't just a thief. And Mike went out for everything that was going. I think his first arrests were back in the 60s. But I liked him. I really did. 85 years old, it's a long time to make it. He made it past Frank, I'll tell you that much. He outlived Frank. Frank was only 81. He was 85 when he passed. When I first heard about it, I was kind of shocked. But then again, I wasn't shocked because I knew his physical condition wasn't good. His health was bad. Did I have any contacts with the Canadian Mafia? No, I never did. I was up in Canada. I was in London, Ontario. I lived on Princess Ave in London, Ontario for some time. But no, I didn't get into the Canadian mob stuff. I just wasn't into it. How many people here heard of Mike Swiatek, and actually saw him in the newspapers or maybe met him? Is there anybody in the room here that's actually met him or saw him in the newspapers? There's only 20 people here? This is going to be like the last one I ever do. 20 people. And here you have the opportunity to ask me questions. I'm surprised nobody, Kevo. Yes, one time. Johnny Rogers listed me, Albert Johnson Rogers listed me, Kevo, or Kevio. He listed me as a something to do with him and Marshall Cofano, and IRS CID came down on me. And I had to sign a document that said it wasn't true. You only heard of him on Frank Collada's channel. Well, he was very well known. It's around dinner time, but yes, by you it is. I guess it's dinner time by me. It's 5 o'clock. Maybe I'm doing these things at the wrong time. How many people do we have in here now? Gary. Yes, I did. I wrote a second book in 2017, Gary, and I've been waiting on the mail and all kinds of other things to get the 18. Somebody, 2 left already. I've been waiting on the cover to come back from the printer so I can get it out to you. It's everything that was edited for my first book by the gentleman that decided to help me publish it. And there's a lot in it. There's a lot more in it. There's a lot less in it about me and more about other people I interacted with, like Jimmy Coutura, different murders I witnessed, uh, things like that. There's some parts in there written about Tony Spilotro. It kind of goes the gamut on who was the boss and who wasn't the boss, and everybody has different opinions on that. A lot of people don't even think Milwaukee Phil was a boss at one time, but he was. It was short-lived, but he went to prison. He's kind of an interim boss. Deborah, my husband's aunt's wake, and was talking to my daughters. She was interested in the funeral business. Mikey said, "Why don't you tell me, and I'll get you a fresh one." Gary, I'm sure you are. Thank you. How did you run five? Very difficultly. It was very difficult. I ran 5 businesses at a very hard time. It was Zoel. It was a difficult thing in the sense that I was always busy. And don't forget, I worked 24/7. I was on call all day. I had things going all the time. So I didn't take a vacation for over 20 years. Ralph Conte, Red, were you talking about the bombings? Or is that around the second time of the bombings in Cleveland and Chucky Green? No, it had nothing to do with Chucky Green. Mike Clark, I was in Springfield, Illinois. Do you know any state reps who were tangled up with the mob? Not personally. I knew that they were because they were owned. And so when something was going to happen, it happened. The votes went the right way to help the mob. For some reason, all politics were entangled with the mob, but not anymore. It seems like the real mob now is the politicians. Jimmy, did he have anything to do with the car bombing? Yes, he did. He did. He set it up. Him and Frank Collada set that up. Now that he's gone, I can talk about it. I never wanted to talk about it before. The man died in the bombing. I'm sure you saw it. It was by 294. He was a union rep. Did the black? Yes, all the time. Man, did they do it. They blackmailed Kevio. They blackmailed anybody they could get their hands on. Anytime they could get money out of somebody for easy, they did it. Jim Thompson was one that was blackmailed. I don't know if he's alive yet or not, but they definitely took advantage of him. No questions? I'd like to say a eulogy for Mike, but the truth of the matter is, I don't know if it's appropriate. He had family. Do you ever wonder how your life would have been different had your uncle not dated? Have you, Gary, Gary Malinsky, did you ever wonder how your life would have been different had your uncle not dated the Hanson brothers' sister? Yeah, I did a couple times, but it was what I wanted at the time. It was my way in. He really introduced me to a lot of people. He was not a wise man at all. The Hanson brothers were really not the sharpest tools in the shed. They were more brawn than brain. Jimmy, I knew Mike and used to love seeing him hold court on Grand Avenue. I didn't know he held court on Grand Avenue. Uh, I love talking to him and bumming smokes from him. Yeah, he was a heavy smoker, and that's what the emphysema got. And it'll probably get to me too because I'm smoking. Did David Schneider or Schooner? Am I saying that right? Do you still get asked to testify? No, I really think the outfit as we know it is over. It's not like it was. Uh, let's face it. The gambling is owned by the state. Um, I don't know. Yes, Walter, I did try vape pens. I don't like them. Let's hear some newer stories that we haven't heard before. Uh-huh. What do you want me to do? Read my book, my second book to you? There's a lot of them. There's thousands of them, guy. Every day that I got up in the morning, there was a new day and a new story. And I reminisce them and go back and think about them. And actually, I was a lot younger than those guys. All those guys were, like Mike was born in 38. I was born in 49. So I was like the pup, like kind of like a mascot, so to speak. Ralph, I'm not still in Chicago. Ralph, I live in Panama City Beach in Florida. It's about 90 degrees here today, and I have the air conditioning on. I don't think they'll ever call me back for now. There's not much outfit trials left, and I don't know what's going on. Did I? Yes, I met Albie. I did a short story on it a long time ago. He was just a young kid. He was like 19, 20. And I ran into him in the, I was going to Kozo's, and I pulled across the street at 613 Racine at Filamano's driveway, and a car pulled in front of me and blocked me in, and another car pulled on back, and these guys get out with baseball bats, and they obviously thought I was somebody from the neighborhood that didn't belong there. And then one of the young men that was with him was Jimmy Kozo's son, and he said, "Oh, that's Red," and they all packed up and left. But I met Albie then. That's the first time I ever saw him and met him. I live in Panama City Beach. I love it here. Kevio, it's beautiful. I moved here from Palm Beach. He had some epic stories. Jimmy, he had some epic stories and great one-liners. Yeah, he was a one-liner. He was very good. I really, I don't see him in his broke down days. I left in 1988, September 15th, 1988, and I don't see him as an older man that was falling apart. And his time in prison was bad. That wasn't very good. Billy White, 1966. Hey, Red, really enjoy your stories. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy them. How many people do we have now? Did you meet? No, I never met Tony Accardo. I never met, what's his name? Out in Cicero. I never met the real high bosses. The only high boss I ever met was Milwaukee Phil. We got 29. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Keep me up to date, buddy. You seem to tune into me a lot, so I like your comments. I like all your comments, guys. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's why I asked everybody that bought the book to write a review on Amazon. I'd like to get that movie going again. COVID killed it. COVID killed a lot of things. I think we're all going through strange times right now. Sorry about the podcast here, because live podcast, because I didn't know it was going to do this, and I don't know, the time on the computer got messed up with YouTube, so really couldn't do it. Dom, I can't read your whole name, Dom. Read what was wrong with Tony Spilotro's right arm. It always seemed like it was bent and stuck. I never noticed that. And I used to watch him pick up cigarettes and go to his mouth. As a matter of fact, he that way. So I never saw anything. COVID's the beginning of the reset. I don't know if it is or not. I know things are going to change in the future. What was Jack Cerrone known for? Being crabby. That's what everybody else tells me. He wasn't a very likable guy in the sense that he was very crabby. He went back quite a ways, and I think for a long time he was number 2 to Tony Accardo. I thought his right arm looked bent too. I know he carried his arms out when he walked, but I never noticed. He drank with it. He was right-handed. He drank with his right hand. Tony Spilotro. Thank you, Dave. If you want to see more of them, you got to let me know. Otherwise, I won't take the time. What's it like working with Adam? It's very good, David. Adam is he's a great guy. He really is. No, I didn't meet Mike's brother, Jimmy. It was one of those kind of things. It wasn't a family thing. He was just part of that crew, and he was over there. Kevio, was Mad Sam just a degenerate psychopath? No, he was probably everything. I mean, this guy, he didn't have any rules. I mean, he raped, he tortured, he did things against humanity. I mean, the guy he wasn't right. When they said Mad Sam, they should have named him Crazy Sam. Do I miss Chicago? The way it was, I miss it. The way it is now, no, I don't miss it at all. Sorry, Jimmy, I don't. How long have you been smoking? Like a gangsta. Star. I have been smoking. I started smoking when I joined the Marine Corps. Everybody had to smoke. It was mandatory. If you didn't smoke, none of the other guys could smoke. So I started then. I stopped for many, many years, 20 years. And because of a bad business deal, I lost about $10,000. One day I asked the guy sitting next to me in the truck, I said, "You got a cigarette?" And he said, "You don't smoke." And I said, "Oh, yes, I do. I just started." So I started back. Yes, I did witness a murder in progress, and all the way to the end. And that was Kurt Hansen when he beat up some promoter out at Valley View Yak. And that was in Valley View Young Adult Club. And that was way out in, I'm trying to think of the name of the town right now. Frankfort, Illinois. James Roper, did you ever meet Sam Giancana? No, I didn't. I didn't meet Sam Giancana. Like I said, Joey Ayupa, Sam Giancana, Tony Accardo. I never met those people. I never did. I never met the latest boss, DeFrancio. Although I went over a lot of his paperwork. He was an informant. He was an FBI informant. That's why he didn't testify against family secrets. He wasn't in there. But then again, so was Rosenthal. He was an FBI informant. His code name was Achilles, and he didn't have to testify in the Kansas City skim or Chicago, the skim, Las Vegas skim that took place in Kansas City. Jimmy, you say that Mikey held court at the old Survivors Boomerang Social Club on Grand Avenue in May. Yeah, right on the corner there. That was the place where everybody they played cards there and everything. Ralph Conte, did you ever meet Jimmy Hoffa? Yes, I met Jimmy Hoffa. That was back in 1969. I did a bedtime story about it. He was a very dynamic individual. He came in when there were business agents there, and there was a place called Sunnyside Chemical, and they were going on strike. And they actually blocked it so the drivers couldn't drive out. And the business agent he was wearing 245s, shoulder holsters. And all of a sudden, Jimmy pulled up in another car, and he walked over and talked to the guy. The guy got out of the truck, the owner of the company, Leaders was his name. He got out of the truck, and he didn't bother trying to break the picket line. Did I ever work with Hugh Hefner? No, I did not. As a matter of fact, everybody tried to put the arm on Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Club, and that's why he went out to California. That's one of the reasons. The other reason, they tried to set him up with cocaine. Thank you, Winnie. I really appreciate it. Larry Flynt, yes, I knew Larry Flynt. I had to go down to Cincinnati, Ohio, and a lot of us did. Tony DeFalco, Leo Weintraub, anybody that did any quantity business of pornography, we had to go down there. And when we were there, we were told that we had to take 100 magazines every time they came out. That was it. So if you didn't sell them, you ate them. You tossed them out, you gave them away, whatever. But they did sell. Did you ever meet Hunter S. Thompson? No, I didn't. I don't even recognize the name. Was it common for the guys to go to Las Vegas and gamble, party on freebies? Yes. And even when I gambled out there, it was on the house. I mean, I got house chips when I got there, and sometimes I played them, sometimes I didn't. Did they catch the person that shot Larry Flynt? Yes and no. It said that he did, or they did, and it's kind of like buried in history. Some people say no, some people say yes, but in actuality, they did. They know who it was. I don't know if he went to trial or anything, but they know who it was. Like Flynt said in many statements, and like he said in his movie, or somebody else, I think it was Arlo Guthrie that said in the movie, that he had so many enemies, nobody ever knew who did it. They just didn't know. Are we picking up a crowd here? Or are people just ducking in and ducking out? 41. Okay, we're going up. Maybe some people are just popping in and taking a peek. The main subject was Mike Swiatek, Mikey Swiatek. He was part of the Grand Avenue crew, very important part of it, and demolition expert, thief. He had a lot of monikers. I mean, he did a lot of things. He was he was very good at what he did. I remember one time there was a Denver boot put on somebody's car, and he had a big grinder, and he went over there with the grinder, went zip, cut the lock off, and took the boot off for him. Your boy, Roy Boy. Cheers, Roy Boy. Any other stories you want to hear? How many people know? Does anybody know about anything that Mikey did when he was arrested? When he was arrested on John Mazzola and Jimmy DeLore were working the case. John Mazzola was undercover. Um, they're getting on too. I don't know if they're around yet, but at any rate, they came to me to ask me about him. He finally got hit with cocaine and altered firearms and silencers and stolen pistols. Red, love your show and stories, Patrick, said Patrick O'Neill. Tony Borsellino from Chinatown crew. He was killed in 1979. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know about anything about Butch Blassie. And I really didn't know those guys. Friends with the ant? Ralph, take it easy. We call him little guy, not the ant. Do you know anything about the Kansas City mob? Not really. Only hearsay. Who killed Tony Borsellino? I don't know. I really don't. What territories did the outfit control? Huh. Everything west of the Mississippi, even down in Tampa, Florida. Everybody had to answer to somebody in Chicago. Did I ever consider going into the witness protection program? No, somebody else, John Cahill. He asked me if I wanted to go in, and I said no, but they made me go to talk to a U.S. Marshal about going into the program. When I listened to what they had to say, I passed completely. Everything that you have that has a serial number on it, a television set, a pistol, a rifle, anything that you have that has a serial number on it that you purchased has to be discarded. And the first thing the guy told me, he says, we're not real estate agents. We don't care what you get for your properties. And I said, thank you very much. I'm out of here. And the FBI put me through the undercover division of the FBI. I went with them. They owed me big time. Larry, is it Tilney? I heard of Mike back then. You should have asked, well, if I knew how to talk, you would remember and be shocked. I probably would be, but then again, might not, because Mike laughed and he had a good sense of humor. He had, like somebody else mentioned, he had a lot of one-liners. He had a good sense of humor. Jimmy, you disagree with me on Helen Brach disappearance? You know, Richard Bailey was not responsible for the killings of Helen Brach. I can tell you that for a fact. And when Richard got out of prison, they put him in a halfway house in Wetchcott. I tried to talk to the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney hung up on me because I knew that someone had lied. Yes, Richard Bailey, he wined and dined and took advantage of women and kind of sold them horses that were they were dog meat, really, but they insured them and killed them. Is Bailey out? The last time I talked to him, he was out. Larry Tilley. Hope I'm saying that right. Ralph, what are you saying? He said he was responsible. Actually, no. I'll explain to you if you guys want to know. Is that Cy Jane gave the order to have her killed, and he was in prison in Vandalia prison down south, and state prison, and that was for murdering his brother. But it got carried away, and Frank Jr. was involved in it. A lot of people were involved in it, but Jack Madlock was involved. Jimmy DeLorta worked on the case too, ATF, and everything had been replaced. There was an Eager Beaver or something Beaver lumberyard where he had spent a great deal of money replacing the foyer in the house. He was the chauffeur, and nobody can prove it, but I believe he drove up to Minneapolis and picked her up at the Mayo Clinic. He never talked. He didn't have to. He has the right to remain silent. As a matter of fact, I get a kick out of a lot of these videos I'm watching lately where it says, know your rights. You have the right to remain silent. You can do this. You don't do. I don't know. Some of those rights that they tell you they have, if you go arguing with a cop on some of those things, he's liable to arrest you for not cooperating. The state I live in, you have to produce an ID for any reason. Who do you think killed Sam? That's a big debate with a lot of people and me because Frank Schweitek told me Tony did it. Tony Spilotro. Butch Blassie is named as the one that did it. One thing that bothers me about that is Butch Blassie, he was at that party. He was at that get-together. He left. He came back. But he came in the front door. The basement door, the steps, cement steps that went down to the basement, that door was unlocked. And Sam was down there, and he'd had a big dinner. He had a big party. And he was down there cooking sausage and peppers. And it was set for two. The table was set for two. And Sam had a bad gallbladder. So it's up in the air. Nobody ever saw it. There's no witnesses, just like everything else. You can't really say for sure. I can't anyway. Did I ever meet Elliot Ness? No, I did not. That's I think he died way before I got involved. Austin, you're going to get me stacked. Red, I'm up. I'm supposed to be working, not watching this. I'm sorry, Austin. Austin, write me emails instead of a conversation on YouTube. It's easier. Thank you, Dave Davis. I think it's I think I did my part. After you testified against Frank Schweitek's trial, did you stay? Back up here, guys. Hold on. Did I stay at the trial or not? Yes, I did. I should release those Frank tapes? Well, it's a legal problem. They're not my property. They're government property. I could be arrested. A lot of things could happen to me. I've talked it over with attorneys. Was Marshall Cofano feared? Yes. Yes, he was very much feared. All he had to do was talk. He was an old timer that didn't think anything about killing anybody, just like Ray Ryan when he blew him up in Evansville, Indiana. Marshall was, he was a stone killer. And actually, he had a thing where if he came up and slapped you in the face like that, you were dead. If he did it publicly, they were going to get you later on. He'd do it himself. Even at 65, he was pretty agile. He got around. Jerry, hello from Chicago. How's the weather there, Jerry? It's hot here. We're close to 90 degrees. I got the air conditioning on. Marshall Cavano was a very interesting individual. Do I know Sally D? No. Is it Lock Arms? No, I don't know Sally D. I think Sally D is just a retired man that's up in Wisconsin enjoying himself in the later years of his life. Did the Grand Avenue crew run the North Side also? Yes, they did. They really did. The Petit brothers, Larry and Joey Petit, that went all the way up into Lake County. Joey had them underneath his thumb. I used to meet with them a lot. What's my dog's name? Ralph, my dog's name is Duchess. I think you're about the 20th person to ask that. Yes, they were very good friends, Dan. Tony and Joey kind of came up the same way, and through Milwaukee Phil and that whole crew. They were good friends. Whatever happened to Victor? Victor passed on. Victor passed on. And he was the only brother that I know of that was involved in organized crime. But Victor was also involved in the disappearance and the murder of Helen Brach with the Hanson brothers. That would be Kenneth and Curtis. Did I get any threats when I had to go to court or testify? No, nobody ever threatened me. I had so many agents around me, it was a joke. If you wanted to threaten me, it'd be stupid. It just didn't happen. People, they liked staying out of prison. Even when I ran into Marshall Cavano, when I was down in Fort Lauderdale, he had gotten out of prison for his Westinghouse stock scandal. And he was walking along the street. He was with somebody from the Genovese family. And he tipped his hat and just kept on walking. He never bothered me. What year did I testify? Which trial, Ralph? Which trial do you want to know? What? I testified in many trials. Ralph Conte wants to know how many trials I testified in. Or what year did I testify? The first one was 1989, and that was against Frank Schweitek. And believe me, he said everything on tape about everybody else. It was like he brought in Mike Galita, he brought in Joey Lombardo, he brought everybody in on those tapes. Comrade, in your opinion, do you feel that Chicago is worse without the outfit? In my opinion, I do. That's my opinion. The street gangs and the murders and everything that are happening every day, they wouldn't be happening like that if the outfit was there. Do you know the Census Teamster Project, Shotgun by the Outfit? Not personally, no, I did not. Sorry, Dave Davis. I really didn't. I thought you folks would enjoy a live Q&A with me. Really enjoyed my channel. Thank you so much. Any connections from LA, Orange, or countryside area? The only connection that I knew from LA or Orange County was, thank you, Dave, for the update, was Johnny. He was involved with the CIA. I can't remember his last name now. I'm trying to think of it. I met him very early in 1968. Didn't know who he was. Did I ever dabble in the stock market? Yes, I did. And it's just like going to Las Vegas. It's a gamble. Do you remember about the 12th Street Players? Yes, I do. I certainly do. Johnny Roselli. Yes, that's the name. Johnny Roselli. Thank you, John Cahill, for reminding me. He 100% conspired to have her killed. The judge was convicted him in a bench trial in that court. I don't know what you're talking about, Jimmy Casatina. Keep up the great content. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry, my dog's name is Duchess. I took her out just before this podcast, so she's not bothering me here. She's laying down, taking a nap. Who are you talking about, Jimmy? He 100% conspired to have her killed. Who is her? The judge that convicted him of the bench? Oh, you mean Joey Lombardo? No. Not her. Did I know Wings? Carlisi? I met him. I didn't like him. Did Johnny's Beef ever have to pay street tax in Elmwood Park? I'm sure they did. Dupes Explain 101? Yes, I'm sure they did. No, I didn't know Joe Pecora, a Grand Avenue guy. There's a lot of people that did bookmaking and things, burglars, that I didn't know. I mean, like I said, I was busy running 5 businesses at the time. So when I stopped over, I met certain people there. We used to hang out we called it the Spot. That was Jimmy Kozo's compound. And it was very elaborate. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was better than American Bonding. We all hung out there first. Any other questions, folks? Or should I talk about Mike some more? Is it true that after Milwaukee's Phil death? Yes, that is true. And we used to say, a lot of people used to say to me, he reached from the grave. He reached from the grave and killed him. How did you choose Panama City? I lived in Palm Beach, and I came up here on a hunting trip. I hunt deer, and I loved it. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. Thank you, if you like it. And I decided I loved it up here. There's a lot of deer up here. It's not little deer like they have down south. We're right close to Alabama. So I really enjoyed it. And I said, this is the place I'm going to stay. Good job, Jason. But did Frank see? Yeah, they did. They did a lot of work together. Mikey and Frank Collada, Mikey Swiatek and Frank Collada, they did a lot of work together. They were always going to prison, though. They always got locked up. Jerry, you just finished, Jerry Cruz, you just finished my book. You really enjoyed it. Thank you, Gary, or Jerry, excuse me. Thank you very much. If you want, and you're an Amazon customer, write a review on Amazon. I'd appreciate it. The more reviews I get, the better chance that I have of getting a movie out. Hawthorne Racetrack is being remodeled with a full casino. I don't doubt it. And sportsbook, I don't doubt it. The Shane Weaver, you're here. You're late, but you're here. You made it. What I was shocked at is that Arlington Park is gone. It's closed, and they're tearing that down. I thought it was kind of the biggest thing going. You didn't get my book signed. Okay. Gotcha. You got it from Amazon. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It talks more about me than it's 50-50. It talks about me and it talks about the outfit too. It tells you a little bit about my background, who I am. Maywood Harness Racing. No, I went out there a few times. I also went out to what's the other one out south? It was southwest. They had harness horses, pacers. Aurora Downs. Went out there a few times. I went to Maywood a few times. I wasn't much for harness racing, except a lot of the owners, because they were too heavy to ride a thoroughbred, would take a Balmoral too. Yeah, that Balmoral racetrack where Peanuts Pansco, that was a big thing. Pansco and Basil, he flipped Basil. Basil flipped on Lenny Patrick. Lenny Patrick flipped on Gussie Alex. That was a real, boy, that was a domino effect. The state here, Kevio, the states have taken over all the rackets. Yes, they have. They certainly did. And that's not just there, it's all over the country. All the people who should get at least a documentary of a movie for you. Simplify. Simplify to you, Dave. Always faithful. Always. Jackie's duped explain 101. Jackie's dragging their feet like Easy Money. I don't understand. Oh, the movie Easy Money? I'm not familiar with it. The only thing I think about when I think about Easy Money is Kappas, John Kappas, a person that I never did like. He threatened a friend of mine, actually tried to have him murdered. He was a DEA agent, Jay Woolley, and he's out and free, and Jay's still alive, and he's still alive. And I'll tell you what, there's no love lost between them. Besides, I didn't like the guy anyway, because the whole time he was in witness protection, but he claimed to be a karate nut and everything else where he can handle himself. If you had another movie made of your book, who would you like to portray in it? Actually, playing me is the guy that plays the main role. Is kind of a character. He likes to interfere with things, but trying to think of his name now, and I can't. Nice guy, very nice guy to talk to. He played it in a lot of different movies. Why did you tell Tony that you were an informant? I trusted him. He told me some things that I will never repeat. And they were kind of things that were important. and we were drinking some scotch. I was not drunk. And I said, I told him, Tony, I'm a mole for the FBI. And he took a glass. He was drinking a glass of scotch, and he drank a gulp full of scotch, and he said, really? I trusted him. That's why. I don't know if you can understand anybody that you ever trusted. And I did not know Tony did all the things that he did until after he was dead. I mean, I really didn't know about it. I liked him as a friend. If you could bring back one person from the dead, from the day, who would it be? It would obviously be Tony Spilotro. Is there anyone else in the outfit that Tony? No, nobody I ever really got close to in the outfit except Tony. Tony was a friend. I mean, he was a real friend. Was Tony working both sides? No, he was not. I never gave him information. I don't think he gave any information to anybody else. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be dead. But I'm sure if Lombardo knew about it, it would have been over in a second. Marshall Cafano would have done it. After all, he was the first boss out in Vegas. You're back on Helen Brach, Jimmy. What do you want to know? Trust most of the valuable things you can't. Yes, it is. I mean, when you have a friend, you can trust that friend with anything. A lot of people say there's only one way to keep a secret, and it's if only one person knows. Tony went to his death and never gave me up. And it might have got him out of it. I don't know. Who killed the Grimes sisters? Nobody knows. It remains a mystery. I worked on it for a while from here, and there was no. I couldn't go anywhere with it. Jimmy, did you ever wear a wire on Kozo compound? I never wore a wire. I never, wore a Niagara on me. But when I was at Jimmy's place at the compound, I used to take a Panasonic camera, VCR, and I used to record people. And they thought I was just doing it for them. And I gave them a copy of it, and that was it. I also gave a copy to the FBI. Dave Davis, you're a big guy. I imagine you knocked down on the German. If you didn't know, his background would have been intimidating. If Frank and I ever went to it hand in hand, Frank would have beat me half to death. But Frank, he kind of liked me like a son. He said that many times. As well, what was Tony's prominent role in Vegas? No, Chicago. What was Tony's prominent role in Vegas? No, in Chicago at the time. I don't understand your question, Zoel. Did you ever go on any scores with Mike? No, I did not. I was not a thief. I stayed in pornography, which was illegal at the time. I was strictly a businessman. Wore suits every day. I carried my pistol. Nobody cared. 53 we have now. Thank you, Dave. Zoel, I don't know what you're asking. In your opinion, who is the higher ranks? Tony or definitely Joey. Joey told Tony what to do. When they sent him out to Las Vegas, by that time Phil Aldericio passed away, and He took his marching orders from Tony. Took his marching orders from Joey. You have a great day, Jimmy. You have a great laugh, guy. Thank you. Thank you. I laugh a lot. I get criticized for it sometimes, especially in courtrooms. It because it was almost like an afro, bushel hair. I mean, it was all over the place, Jimmy. That's where he got the name. It's just like Kalata got his name Brahma from being like a bull. He was strong like a bull, great muscle. But then again, so was back in the day, Mikey had a build on him like you can't imagine. I mean, he had like a 30-inch waist and a 64-inch chest. And if he punched you, believe me, you were going down. Joey was very smart. Yes, he was. He was a very intelligent. He was the most intelligent alpha guy that I ever knew. Do you know anyone that has had a summer house in the chain of lakes? Lots of them. Everybody went up there. What are you talking about, guy? Easy on that. Was it Ikak Lock Arms? Yes. A lot of people were up in the chain of lakes. A lot of them. Do you understand the Central Pension Fund? Eric, what are you asking? Thank you, Dave. I remind you of a cool uncle. Frank Schweitek was the shooter. He took down Dorfman. And the other shooter is still alive. What errands would I run for Kurt Hansen? Mostly picking up different things, odds and ends here or there. Jerry Cruz. Mostly watching out for his brother and trying to keep him, from. Yes, I know you're on the chain. I heard that there's an expiration date on the milk. Yes, that's true. Ralph Capone, I don't know if you heard about it, but you can look it up. He was the one, someone in the family. Ralph was not like Al Capone. And he was out in Hickory Hills and out in that area. But he invented near beer, which was like non-alcoholic beer. And that he was famous for that. That's why I nicknamed him Bottles. But he also, somebody in his family got sick from milk that was spoiled. And that's when they put dates on it. So he actually did a service to everyone to get it passed by the FDA. Can you talk about John DeFranco being an informant? Sure. When I was up at Family Secrets, I was looking at his file. Does that help you, Jim? Jim Jager? As a businessman, Tony Conroy, as a businessman who wore suits regularly, did you have a specific place you got the suits cleaned? I wore them regularly. Occasionally, Joey wore them. I had one place that I just went. It was close to my home, and they took care of me. I have a funny story about that. I had $10,000 in my breast pocket, and I sent my suits to the cleaners and didn't realize I left the 10 grand in there. And what happened was, I agree with you, Jimmy. Campus was a cocky punk, and I think he still is. I will never like the guy. At any rate, I blamed everybody for stealing the $10,000 from me. I said, anybody went in my closet or touched the stuff or brought and it came back, and it was in my closet for about a year, the same suit. And finally, when I looked at it, it had an impression on the outside. And I looked in the inside, and there was the whole $10,000. So that was a very lucky day for me, and a very unlucky day for the guy that was pressing the suits, because I didn't know who it was. He was a black guy that just worked there pressing suits. Duke just playing. I saw pictures with Toya, Yupa, Accardo, but zero pics with the clown and a Yupa. Well, I don't think you're going to find many pictures of Joey unless it's surveillance photographs. I mean, he didn't pose for things. Joey was a very smart man. Very, very smart man. Tony was too, but after he got into the cocaine, the nose candy, it was just he went downhill real fast, real fast. Dave Davis, Canner, will you show footage of Frank and cohorts picking up your taxes? There's one or two on the internet, but can I? No. Would I? I might go to jail for it. It's not my property. What happened was they sent me tapes to review before I went to court, and they never asked for them back. But I've talked to my attorneys, and one attorney told me, he said, that's government property. It's even marked government property. So if anything, that's the way it goes. Footage of Frank picking up my taxes. It's on YouTube. Actually, it's in the news footage of my interview that I did down here. I don't know if I can't do this like Adam does, where I can just pull it up for you, but it's Dave Davis. Are you on Facebook? If you are and you have a Facebook name, I will send it to your timeline. Chainweaver, Red, did you ever have nothing going in Minnesota, ever? Is Solly D retired? Yes, he's retired. He retired a long time ago. He'd had enough. At 85 years old, he doesn't want to go back to prison. He just had his birthday soon, or just passed. Nothing in Minnesota. I never got up that way. I kind of stick to my own neighborhood or my own district that I was in. Okay, folks, we're running out of questions here. I don't know what you want me to talk about, but this is the opportunity to do it. Do you know who John DeFranzio's testimony put behind bars since he was an informant? His testimony didn't put any, they only put people that went behind bars or people that did testify. The information that he had about other people, that definitely, it just confirmed it. So they got information. It didn't get changed in the Spilotro beatdowns. No, it didn't. By the way, Mikey was there at the Spilotro beatdowns. Mikey Swiatek, he was there. Did Tony ever do drugs in front of you? Yes, he did. He snorted coke in front of me. He offered me some. I told him no thanks. I don't do that stuff. Who owned the horse farm in Johnsburg? I don't know. I never went out to Johnsburg. Was Richard Kane involved in the JFK assassination? I believe that he was, distantly, very distantly. He knew about it. Did he plan it? No, he did not. Do you ever go to Las Vegas? I used to. I don't anymore, Jim. Right now it's the COVID and everything else, and traveling is kind of restricted. So I kind of stay away from that stuff. How many people do we have left in the room here now? Can somebody tell me? Oh, Jarnsberg by the Chain of Lakes. No, I, I have no. I'm not familiar with it. Ralph Capone on property. Yes, in Mercer, Wisconsin. Did a lot of outfit guys were up in Wisconsin there. A lot. That was a nice, quiet area. 49. Okay. Thank you, Zoel. I appreciate it. You too, Dave. Um, as a lot of your old pals are gone, when you're in town, do you go and pay your respects? I did in 2017. I did in 2017. But there's a lot we've lost since a lot of people since then. Did the outfit control Dallas? Yes, they did. And let's say New Orleans cooperated with the outfit in Chicago. They were kind of together. Did the outfit ever try to extort the Hefner? Yes, several people did. One of them was Marshall Cofano. Uh, any of the Rush Street guys that went down and partied with that new. I'm trying to think of his name. They all tried to muscle Playboy. That's why Playboy moved to California. They got out. They said, it's kind of like Larry Flynt. He moved out there too for one reason. It was liberal. Nobody could bother him out there. Any Paul the Waiter stories? No, I never met Paul the Waiter Rica. Um, I'm kind of surprised when I do read things about him because I always thought that I didn't know he was. I knew there was a person there, but I didn't think he was the original. Yes, I was in the original Playboy Mansion. Dave, I never thought anybody. I didn't. I thought Accardo was the boss. I thought after Nitty died that Accardo took over. Any stories about Jimmy Marcello? Yeah, a couple. Jimmy sent some people by me to install Joker poker machines, and I sent them running. And Jimmy went to Joey to straighten me out, Joey Lombardo, and Joey said he's spoken for. Don't go back there again. But it was just business. There were no hard feelings. Arnie Morton. Ugh. Any stories about Melrose Park? Only my father. He was at Pope Brothers. He worked for Pope Brothers in Melrose Park. And there were a lot of outfit guys that came in that lived in Elmwood Park and Melrose Park in that area. And they used to buy a lot of things from Pope Brothers. My dad used to give them discounts. Is it true that Betty Taco gave up her husband? Yes, she did, Sean. Betty Taco was caught on tape, and they had her for income tax evasion, all kinds of things. She was going away to prison. She rolled on her own husband, and she cut herself a deal and went into witness protection. Have I ever been to the La Scola? Yeah, I was at La Scola. La Scola testified against Frank Schweitek, by the way, in 1989. La Scola and La Papa. Good restaurant. Milwaukee reported to Rockford, according to Donnie Bosco. Well, I don't know. Joe Pistone was, I don't know. He got into some things that I didn't even know about. Eric F. from Playboy Club. What are you trying to tell me, Eric? By the way, I like the food at La Scola. It was always good. I always enjoyed it. Getting back briefly to the Rica personality, seems like one of the most yeah, he was really. He kind of took a back seat. He didn't jump out there in front. I don't think there's a lot really written about him except his criminal problems. Any DJ 005, DJR 005. Any dealings with Edward Padot? No. I could barely pronounce his name. Sorry. I wish I could tell you something, but I can't. Did Santa and Trafficana work closely with the outfit? You're damn right they did. They certainly did. Conroy, when you had your video store, how often did you come across Marshall? How long did I don't understand your question. Video store, how often did you come across material you couldn't put on the shelves? Maybe once every 6 months, something had come up and I'd have to, send it back to the distributor. I'd make a note and report to the FBI. There was some pretty raunchy stuff in there. There was child porn, things that were given me from California. Jim, any Alfredo, the pizza man, Turbini stories? Only that he was in trouble several times for gambling on state charges. And it came of no surprise to me that when Family Secrets came up, he was gone. They thought he was going to talk. Ever go to Sabatini's Italian? Yes, I have. Thank you, Eric. I enjoy their food too. I like Italian food. What can I tell you? I grew up with it. Somebody made a comment about me once when I was in Chicago on a trial. I ate 8 Italian beef sandwiches with fries and everything, peppers, everything that went with them. I just love it. My favorite Italian restaurant, I have to say, was Mio's. Mio's Norwood House out in Harlem. Mike Swiatek was not a make guy. He was strictly a worker. I know Frank Collada tried to say he was a made guy. If anybody made him, it was Tony saying, yeah, you're made, because nobody ever got together and said anything. Hey, Red, was Louis DeMooch, this is from Jason, a bit of a weasel, and it seems like a real fucking piece of shit to me. Yeah, he was. He was very cocky. And I think Frank knocked him out a couple times. He was at Spanky's, and that's where their beef came from. But he was a made guy, and you don't hit a made guy. Has anyone has anyone ever tried to kick dirt on you? Verbally, yes. Physically, no. Off the record, would you remember Hanson and Jane could have went bye-bye in the 80s? Same rather be in the latter? Larry, off the record, would you remember Hanson and Jane could have went bye-bye in the 80s? I don't, if you mean dead, I don't know. I don't understand. Any dealing with Americans? All I dealt with was Americans. Did you ever meet Harry the Hook Edelman? No, I saw him a few times. I never shook his hand. I didn't want to know him. He wasn't the kind of person that I really liked. As a matter of fact, if anybody, he would have carried out the contract on me while Schweitek was in jail or prison. And he got out, And I got a quick call from the state's attorney and said, "Don't worry, we're going to hit him again for double jeopardy." Judge Wilson had already, you know, he was let up. Ever bump heads with Lenny Patrick? No, I didn't. I never knew he existed. Did either Mayor Daley do business with the outfit? Mayor Daley Sr. Had a philosophy, and it was well known. He died in 1977. He said, "Whatever you guys do, you do. I don't want to know about it. If you get caught, that's your problem. I want to stay clean." Are you familiar with Louis Peters, Davis, the dealership who owned Undercover to get Joe Panano? No, I really don't, to be honest with you. Is it true that the workers of the associates don't make a lot of money? No, that's not true. They make a lot of money because they kick it up. The problem is they don't, Zol. The problem is they don't spend it properly. So they don't invest in homes. They don't invest in other things. They don't pay their taxes. Most of them gambled. It's just like Bob Cooley. He was in over his head. I mean, he gambled. He owed everybody. He had juice loans out and everything else. So the only thing he could do when they got him for income tax evasion, when he went in, he made a deal. And he wore a wire and did a lot of things. And I don't particularly like him because he makes it sound like he did it out of the goodness of his heart. Very much like I did. I did it out of the goodness of my heart. It wasn't something, I wasn't under indictment or anything like that. Did you read Joe Bonanno's autobiography? No, I did not, but I really was fascinated when he did his, years ago, when he did his television series, several parts about the Bonanno family. And I always thought his son was, he was the director, lived on far more after that. Have I ever ran into Angelo the Hook? No, I haven't. Fifi, yeah. He was out by Kurt Hansen and Jimmy Couture. Butch Harry was interesting, scary. Yeah, they were all scary to certain people. I wasn't afraid of them because I never got in their way. Well, this has been an interesting talk, guys. It's gotten on now here. I don't know how long it's been going, but if there's enough likes here and you want me to do it, just push one for everybody that's here. If I put up, just press one, just the numerical one, if you want me to come back and do another live. Yes, he was. Fifi was in Berwyn at the end. Okay, we got one. Here we go. Did you know a guy who worked with Tony Spilotro named Tony Montana? No, I did not. Lots of ones here, so I guess you want me to do another live. We'll set one up as soon as possible. Why did you let Kurt Hansen shoot at you? I didn't have much choice. I got to be honest with you. At the time, it was right by the police station at 11th and State. And I didn't want to kill him. I really didn't. I don't believe in murder. And it would have been murder because he was missing. You want me to do one after dinner today? Kevio? What do I know about Joe Lombardo's son? Joe Lombardo's son was a president of a union. He was involved in a lot of unions. Next time, do it at dinner time. Okay, next time, do it at Kevio. Next time at, we got another one there. Chicago's more violent now than it ever is. It sure is. The street gangs have gone crazy. I don't think much of your mayor in Chicago. I don't believe in defunding the police because we're going to have a lot of people out there on the streets with illegal guns and some legal guns, but I don't know what the gun laws are in Chicago anymore. But it's going to be street justice. It's not going to, there won't be any courtrooms anymore. Did I ever meet Pudgy Matassa? Yeah. Johnny Matassa. Yeah, he was quite a guy. He was always pudgy. He was down on Rush Street. He tried to muscle a few friends of mine, and I got involved. And actually, he tried to muscle me once with Pete the Greek Dunas, and it didn't work out. All I did was tell him to go back to whoever you told you to come here and get out of here. If you could go through some testimony and whatnot on one of your next episodes, that would be very interesting. What kind of testimony? Well, we'll work that out when we do the next one. Okay, Dupe? Dupe, explain. Why did Weiner survive the shooting? Well, you know, it was no surprise to me. Irv Weiner was very much powerful, way above. Actually, he led him to his death. He led Dorfman to his death. There was a radio that he was carrying, a transmitter, and they were following him around. They actually had plans to go to the Bagel on Devon Avenue, and it was crowded. So they wound up going to the Hyatt. But I wasn't surprised at all. It didn't surprise me. Schweiss would never pop Allen, or excuse me, pop Irv Weiner. Irv Weiner was a powerhouse. He knew a lot of heavy people. Joe Renstay would add him on the Dorfman. I'll ask him. We haven't decided which one we're going to do this Wednesday. We've got 2 more days to do it. But I'll ask him, and we can go into depth about it if you want. RTL. Okay, folks, thank you for joining me. And I'll plug my book, Nobody Cares and What I Did About It. It's available at redwemet.com, and that's an autographed edition. It's also available at Amazon. It's available at every bookstore you can possibly imagine, 28,000 of them. But if you order it for me, it's autographed. It's the same price, $19.95 plus shipping. But that's the same that you would get it anywhere. I'm getting more questions here now. I was going to sign off, and here I go. I'm coming back to the questions. Hey, Red, just wanted to say, love watching your videos. You remind me of my crazy Grandpa Butch. I'll be buying your book. Thank you, Ben. I don't know how crazy your grandpa was, but thank you for the compliment. Do you ever go deep sea fishing? Yes, I do. I love deep sea fishing. I really do. And thank you, Dave. Okay, guys. This is Red. We met. Over and out.